Welcome to Tanked Up, the podcast all about video games. Beer, I'm Ben, and I'm here with Aadil.
Hey.
And Lucy.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
How you doing, Aadil? You good?
Yeah, a little tired, but doing fine.
Good. And you, Lucy?
The same.
Oh, excellent. Good. I'm glad that whilst we're tired, we're all fine. That's good. That's good.
And you?
I'm good. I'm good, thank you, yeah. Busy. Very, very busy. And slightly, I'm going to start off slightly aggrieved, only because I've had to already open one of my beers, because unfortunately, because I keep them on top of the fridge, I knocked one of them off the top and just absolutely smashed the top in. So I opened this one over the sink earlier just in case it exploded. It didn't at all, but I found out that I had to. The ring pull wouldn't work, so I had to jab the hole open, which I've done. And so I'm going to be drinking for my first beer. It should have been my second, really, but I didn't want to have to run off and do all that sort of shit. So for my first beer, I'm drinking Boundary. Before you say anything, smell these. This is a double IPA with lactose, 22 grams per litre, dry hopped with Citra and Mosaic. It is 8%. It's best before, I believe, the 27th of March this year.
Cutting it close again.
Yeah, good
yeah,
thing
I know.
you got there.
Super close.
I mean, it sounds like it was best before yesterday.
Exactly. Had we have recorded Sunday, it would have been fine. But yeah, nice grungy can, as Boundaries sort of always have. It smelt lovely when I poured to start with, but yeah, murky. Look at the murk. A little bit more, as most of the beers have been since I've moved into this room, a little bit more bronzy than we're getting on the camera. It's got a lovely sort of tropical fruity nose. Lucy, what are you drinking? Returning to drinking.
I know.
Got her back.
I'll start with this one. I will start with a beer from a brewery, one of my favourite breweries, whose cans I don't usually see around, but spotted a few on the shelf. Brew York.
Oh, nice.
And it is called Sal-Amanda. It's got a little salamander.
Hey,
nice.
So, and it's West Coast IPA. It's 7.1%. Okay, so Sal-Amanda has been brewed to celebrate the 40th birthday of two special women: my partner Sal and my late sister Amanda. Oh, that's a shame. But it says a subtle nod to their choice tipple wine comes from the Nelson hops. Cheers from Wayne, the co-founder. The hops are CTX T90, Centennial. These are all T90. Centennial, Simcoe, Nelson Slogan. The malts are extra pale, like crystal, and acidulated malts. From the little infographic they've got on the back of the can, it should be mostly hoppy and fruity. It's quite sweet with probably medium bitterness. So yeah, and it's in their 440 cans, which I don't often see. I see even less than like their 330 cans. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Hope it's not too whiny, too vinous.
Well, it sounds, maybe they've used the Nelson to give it that sort of effect, but there's a lot else going on in there as well. With all of those other hops to kind of not let that kind of dominate, I suppose.
Yeah.
So you'll find that probably you can maybe get a little hint or something like that, but nice to do sort of a commemorative beer, celebrate someone by giving a little dash of what they enjoyed.
That's a lot of head.
It is.
It is indeed. But yeah, it's got like a dark. It's not. It's got a little bit of haze, a little bit of cloudiness to it. But yeah, it's like a very dark amber colour.
Yeah.
With a slightly off-white head. The head is very large at the moment, so give me a moment.
Sure. Aadil, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking the Hazy Sister Nipa from Reservoir Dogs.
Ooh. From Reservoir Dogs? From the
Yeah.
film or the brewer?
The brewer.
Mm.
The
Be on a
Slovenian
reservoir.
brewer. It's got things in it. I mean, it's got water, malts, wheat, oats, hops, and yeast. And that's all I know.
Okay.
Well,
So, yeah.
that's a start.
Not a
Fair
step.
enough.
I mean, I guess in Slovenia they don't have the Ponzi approach to ingredients that we have here in the UK.
Oh, it's Slovenian.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not from Yorkshire.
So, get that one, Paul. There you go. Back to me, I suppose. This Boundary, it's very nice. You get that nice fruity hit. It's quite sweet. It's a lot sweeter than I thought it was going to be. I thought with the murk, with the colour, with a little bit of the smell, I'd get a bit more sort of dank with this. But it's a very sweet, juicy beer. Definitely a little bit more of those chocolate fruits, bit of melon, bit of pineapple in there as well, and it's big. So those two flavours, or the fruity flavours and that sweetness, they come through really, really big, and they stick around quite a lot. There is a very light change to the finish of this, where you get a little bit of almost sort of like a grassy sort of finish to it. So it's, doesn't quite edge towards piney. It's kind of it's a little bit more reserved than that, but it's a little bit sort of a little bit grassy,
Right.
and then just I think it's that sweetness just changing that profile, but very sweet all the way through, and that sweetness is the thing that kind of lingers as well. So whilst it's quite a dry beer, my mouth is completely dry and I've been talking a little bit, but that sweetness and that grassy note does stick around quite a long time. I'm only going back into it so I can see if there's anything else going on. I don't need to sup this at all. It's very well balanced in just saying, here's what we've presented to you. Here are the flavours that we've got going on. Just enjoy it. There's a long tail on this. Yes, it's a bit dry, but the tail sticks around enough that you don't need to jump back into it.
Nice.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not getting anything else on that next sort of swig, so I think that's probably everything I'm getting from this at the moment. Lucy, we'll come back to you.
It's very dry.
Yeah.
Like really dry. Like I feel like I feel impelled to keep going back just to try and get some moisture in there, because
Okay.
like a desert. It's. I mean, it's quite bitter. It's more bitter than like the infographic would have suggested. But I think that bitterness is just accentuated because of the dryness. It's like, everything's just receded, and it's like, oh my gosh, that very brief fruity taste at the start is just all suddenly gone, because of that dryness, and all that's in my mouth now is just very bitter dryness, and it's like, it's what was the West Coast IPA that I had on I had a beer from Weird Beard, and it was so good. I'm gonna have to get the name of it, but it was like, yes, this is a West Coast IPA that I like. It's got that bitterness, because a lot of beers nowadays are, well, I think we're going full circle where brewers are not afraid to get bitter with their beers again, but it's like, has that bitterness and it has that fruitiness. It was just so well balanced, whereas this is, I'm not really getting a lot of fruit, or when I do, it's just completely overtaken by that like that dry bitterness at the end, and which lingers.
Mm.
I mean, it has a little bit of sweetness from the malt, but right now I'm just like, this is just all just dry bitterness, and it's like, wish it was doing it a bit more. Wish it was a bit more well balanced, but
Yeah.
I'll keep supping on it, see if it changes. But overwhelmingly dry at the moment.
Yeah, and I suppose taking a little more literally that sort of winey essence to it, perhaps, as well.
And to be fair, on the can, it is like a desert plain with salamanders crawling over it. So it's like, what, you know, cacti. It's like, what, you know, what do I expect, really? So
Yeah, they did tell you.
they did.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't expect it to be this dry.
Fair.
Aadil, has your beer told you anything about it yet from the can? Is it full of dogs or reservoir water?
No, again,
That's
there's
good.
Very little information. It is very fruity. A light citrus on the nose, but mostly just tropical fruit. We're thinking less mango, more passion fruit.
Okay.
It's very thick looking.
Yeah.
Sort of more orangey than it might come up on camera. The head was small, but remained basically the same this entire time. It's viscous, but leaves the mouth wet.
Okay.
Very tropical fruit forward, a little less strong than the nose. That viscosity I wasn't expecting. I didn't even check what its percentage is. Oh, it's 6%. It is a 6% ABV. There's a bit of bitter, but it just sort of shows up when the main tropical leaves very lightly and just sort of lingers. To be honest, the aftertaste is mostly it's actually quite wet in the aftertaste. I don't need to reach for this for a while. And there's not a lot else going on. Like, it's mostly the mouthfeel that lingers rather than an individual taste, which is surprising. Okay, yeah, there's a bit of maltiness there in the finish as well. But it's very light. Like, if I wasn't looking for things, I'd be like, oh, that beer is gone. Versus, oh, there are still tastes lingering.
Yeah. Yeah.
But really tasty. It's a nice, it's great for the weather we have now.
Yeah.
In that I'm pretending that we aren't in the weather we're in now.
We had a bit of sun today. The clouds parted for a moment.
It's been mostly sunny, to be honest, like up here. It's just, you just see hail coming from the sky at the same time. But,
just battered by the wind.
But yeah, for a NEPA, I was expecting maybe something a little more taste forward, but it's actually quite relaxed and not reserved, I'll say.
Okay.
Yeah. Short or quick aside. The beer from Weirdbeard was that oat of hell, so it had oats in it, so it just made it quite juicy as well. So that's a really nice beer. So
nice, good name as
get
well.
That out. Yeah, they have good names. They have good beers.
They do. Yeah.
Every time I go into the bottle shop, I always pick up a Weirdbeard beer.
Yeah, it's a shame we don't get them as much down here because they have quite a reasonable range. They're always coming out with new stuff.
New stuff all the time. Reasonably priced.
Yeah.
You're always going to get a cracking beer.
Yeah. I think mostly we get the killer pills.
Yeah.
Are they fully canned now?
Are they? No,
that's what I was asking. Are they?
In bottles. I've only ever seen bottles from them.
Because I know they've changed the killer pills to cans.
Oh no.
That's just the way of things.
Yes, yes. Which seems to be the way everyone, as you say, Aadil, is going at the moment. But what way are we going? I don't know. Don't know what that segue was. Aadil, we're going your way, mate. We're going to start with you this week. We ended with you last week. We're going to start with you this week. What would you like to talk about?
I would like to talk about how I managed to use most of the week going out, sleeping most of the day, watching YouTube, feeling guilty, getting some work done, and then still managing to drink every night of the week.
Nice.
Living that true bum life.
Yeah, but I also wanted to talk about the game that Lucy gave me that I played and finished.
Oh my god! Hooray.
Whoever had the pool on February the 12th, 11th, on when Aadil would play a game, let alone finish. Yes, White Big Ocean Jacket.
Wide Ocean Big Jacket. Yeah.
What a fun little game.
Yeah.
Yeah, the writing was really good, and obviously that's what you want there. You get a feel for, especially the awkwardness of the preteens, the children, that they're written so well, and like friends who are now have hormones and are now not just friends, but still have a rapport and don't know what the fuck is up, and like. Yeah, it just was really sweet and endearing, and the adults have their own subplot, which I wasn't as big of a fan of, but I mean, it worked.
I enjoyed it. It was like, oh, this is something that's like, talked about in... I'm not going to spoil it,
Yeah. And like, it makes sense why that issue would come up when it did.
Yeah.
So that's all fine. I was hoping for some
It was handled well.
Yeah. I was hoping for some of the random characters that you may or may not bump into to sort of make a better appearance.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's very subsidiary, like they're almost like just props.
Yeah, exactly. Props with sometimes dialogue.
Is so just to interject, talking about those two different kind of storylines kind of going on. One with the kids and one with the adults, or the different threads that come into this overarching thing. Which or whose perspective is this kind of viewed from? So, do you when they're dealing with the kind of the adult problems or the conversations that they may be having, do you kind of see that from everyone's point of view?
So this is one of the things I wanted to bring up, which was one of the things that was kind of weird was so. It switches between whoever's actively doing a thing, and often for about, I would say, a third to a half of the game, it's often two people you are walking together.
Right.
Which makes for some interesting pathing issues. Slash, they're like, oh, the way we solve this pathing issue, because you're driving both people, is even though when you're one person, you walk into a tree, you stop. When you're two people, holding hands especially, it just allows people to phase through. Interesting, because when it's two people, go whoop, and then if you catch someone stuck on a boulder, they'll just like zip. Like one person keeps going, the other person like figures out the path and just slides into place, which. It is okay, and it's a small game, and it's clearly not about gameplay. A couple times I had someone walk over a thing and then have to descend from the heavens because they popped up too many feet.
What were you doing to this game? Why were you not such a philosopher? It's like, what would happen
if I playing games? It turns out that's what I do. I try and...
It's like, I just walked from... It's like, okay, there's a clear path.
Yeah.
Or just walking, that small bit of gameplay just to advance the plot, advance the conversation. But walked in that direction. Aadil went off to the side.
Yeah, I was curious because some especially in the early parts, like you're supposed to be like a bored kid wandering around, so you just bump into things. Like, oh, what are there other things later in the game to bump into?
You should be a QA tester.
Yeah, I also managed at one plot point. Two people are walking at night, and one has a flashlight. And I know how they coded it. It's not attached to that character, it's attached to the camera, because I got both of them stuck and continued to walk forward with no one on the screen, and then the flashlight was bobbing around. Yeah, this is not to slam the game, it's just who I am.
Yes.
I still got all the plot points, etc. I liked exploring in the forest, especially because I felt like that's what you do when you're camping. You're sort of like, oh, what's around this bend? And then you find out you can get caught up, and then the gamer takes over. But I really liked it. So as I was saying, so sometimes you're like one person talking to a bunch of people, and then it might switch to another person in the group because in that dialogue tree they said, "Oh, I'm going to do this thing," and now you do that person doing that thing. So as soon as people join each other, you're like two people walking together, and yeah. So I found the best use of there was really good use at one point in the story, where two people went up to a place and you're controlling both of them. And then because of the conversation, it took you to one of their perspectives, wander about, engage in conversation, and then it flipped to the other, and you had the opportunity to like take a walk and then come back and re-engage. And I thought that was narratively a really cool thing they did, given that they already established that, it's a floating perspective.
Yeah, the bit where I enjoyed that kind of dynamic was the camp story. So basically, one of the characters tells a camp story, and after like every few lines of dialogue, you can look around the different, members in the camp, and just see their expression, and the kind of story that person's telling. It's like, this is questionable. Whereas one person's really into it and just seeing, even though it's very low minimalistic art style, those expressions really come across, and it's funny. Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite parts of the game.
And like there's an ordering to the last thing you do in the game. Try not to spoil, and so when I finished the game, I immediately just jumped straight into that back chapter and then tried all the permutations to see what the different dialogue trees were.
Okay.
Because you could jump in, as soon as you unlock a chapter, you can go back to it any time. And I thought it's a really smart.
Well, it's open from the beginning, I think.
Oh, is it?
So you don't even have to.
I didn't. I mean, I just did.
You see, I went to. How long is this game? Like, how many chapters?
I mean, I thought it would be like a full weekend, but it was just a one night overnight camping. Like, it is really a short
like 2 nights
experience.
or something like that. Yeah.
Just one.
I hate to be around preteens that long especially for people who have their kids. Like, that's not enough.
And it has some smart things of like when people are being contemplative to like, there's nothing else to do in the scene, but you can just sit there and like observe until you're like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Versus like it feeling more like, oh, the scene's ended, so we'll do like a cutscene or something, fade away, which they do a couple of times. The other thing I was going to say is the sound design is really excellent. Not just, I mean, it's deceptively simple, but like hearing all the birds and stuff, and like when you approach things, if you have headphones on, you can hear like as you wander, it's properly 3D sound, and because it's such a simple setting, you can really appreciate. Oh yeah, they've placed these sound cues in really smart places.
And and the boy, what's his name? Ben?
Ben,
He looks like the character out of that game called, is it The Last Day of June? Which is actually a really good puzzle game. Looks like him. Anyway, that's a very deep cut. But yeah, it's good. It's a nice little experience. Really enjoyed it. Turn follow. Go check out the other Itch games.
To quote, there are no negative reviews.
Oh,
good.
Nice.
But there are only 7 reviews.
Okay.
One of them is, it was short, it was beautiful, I deeply loved every second of it. We need more games like the games Turnfaller make. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. And I think that is actually a really solid. I mean, that's, except for, I don't think I would say TED Talk, but that's just me. I would say Dill Talk because fuck TED. Do you think there's going to be a Bill and Ted, in the Bill and Ted 3, there's going to be a TED Talk joke?
Yes.
Oh dear, this coming up again.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's really lovely, and it's like, its full price is what, like under £6.
Wow. Okay.
It's $5.79, I think, on the Steam Edge. I'm sure there's
also like $12.99 on Switch. Though.
Yeah, I think it was like £8 on Switch. I think that's what it is. And that's why
I mean, I think it's a great little Switch game.
Go buy it on Itch. Yeah, so you go buy it on Itch. Give the developer as much money as they.
Nice. It leads into a good point. If you're a listener to us and you are on Steam, you can find our group, the Tanked Up Steam group, we're like is it a curator as well?
So we were a group before they changed things, and I don't remember what they called us, but yeah.
But we're a curator as well, so we've reviewed a few games. It'd be good to get up some thoughts up on Steam as well from either of you, because I think all three of us can leave reviews through that. But if you want to come and chat to us, that's another way to do so. Come into our Steam group. It's highly ignored because no one chats in there. So if anyone wanted to be active, it's another way to talk to us.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things we're sort of thinking about is, I mean, we have Instagram followers, but it tends to be more on the beer side. And it's like, what are the vectors we can actually interact? Because it seems like, no one really is on Twitter in our regular viewership.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, I know you exist. I'm just saying, not many of you exist. Nico's like, I fucking direct messaged you the other day. Anyway, yeah. I mean, I think that's what might be a quick win for us to even just say the 5 things we say now somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, this is more inside baseball than really good content creation. But what can you do?
Yeah, exactly.
We share everything with you, dear listener.
Yeah,
everything.
It's true. So, I mean, I did try and upgrade it to an Out of Lives group, but it won't let me change the name. You can't change the name. It has to be tanked up forever. But I've changed a few things, logos and things like that. Yeah.
Are you the admin? Are we both admins?
You and I are admins. I think Lucy might be as well. I think Adam is a moderator.
Oh Jesus, that is too much levels of things.
I know. Everything. There's too many levels of things on everything. Like you can join our Discord chat as well, which is an Out of Lives Discord. Another way to come and chat to us. But Discord is a different beast because there's so many different channels to chat about so many different things.
Discord is confusing. For me, a biddy like me, it's very
a technophobe, like Luce. You're fine. You do all right. You dominate the conversation in almost every channel, mate.
Yeah, but that's because I don't know how to mute them.
I'm pretty sure you just right-click mute, but
then things still pop. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
Yes. So both of you have played Wild Ocean Big Jacket.
Yes.
We proposed last week a question about what Aadil should play next. Obviously, that was Wild Ocean Big Jacket. What do you think is next, Aadil?
So I mean, I think it was a lovely little thing. I think the narrative is exactly what I wanted, but I think I clearly miss doing things in games, given that I did pathing shenanigans for no reason in a sweet little hour-and-a-half long narrative game. So I'm not sure. I also have this computer I was supposed to put back together, which, I can make it work the way you gave it to me, and my spare parts, unfortunately, probably can't, which is frustrating. But I'll figure that out. But at the very least, I could actually play games. Also, there's this PlayStation 4 and 3 and Switch. I'm not sure. I think I want something shortish, but more gamey.
Yeah.
Sayonara?
That's what I was thinking. I might also pick up Slay the Spire again, because I only played a couple rounds of it.
What, are you going to pick it up on Switch? Or?
I already have it on Switch.
Right.
I mean, physically use game application instead of never opening.
It's on Game Pass for PC.
I don't have...
And Xbox. Yeah, but you could get it for $1.
Yeah, but I have it on my Switch already. Actually, I think I have it
I
on...
thought you said you was going to buy it again.
No, I meant pick it up again as...
Pick the unit up.
Buy it, right.
As in, turn it on again.
Well, you are known for having multiple games in multiple places, so...
Yeah.
You understand the confusion.
Totally. No judgment. I mean, clearly judgment, just not in your direction.
Oh, good. Right. Let's move on. I'm gonna give you a quick little update before I launch into the game that I've been playing that I want to discuss. whilst we finish our first beers, I'll give a quick little update on the games that I discussed last week, which was, again, Death Stranding, which I finished.
What?
Oh.
So I think I said to you, I don't remember whether I said it on the episode or whether I said it in the Discord chat, that I was kind of at a point where I was happy with everything I'd done and that I wanted to roll through to the end.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that the end of that game, from the point that it kind of makes it apparent that this is sort of the end, or at least the final set of... I mean, it was like another 5 hours.
Okay.
I went through, playing more of the game, doing some more bits, a few more battles. You then have to track all the way back across country. You've then got a load of stuff on the beach, the sort of the afterlifey kind of death sort of place that they discuss. Right. So you've got some stuff on there. Credits then roll. There's then more stuff after the credits.
Oh, for fuck's sake, did Marvel make this goddamn thing?
I mean, it was fucking... It just kept going and going and going. And that was kind of... That was all right because I was doing it in little stages. And actually, the final thing that I've done, the moment that I've turned this game off, is kind of the final thing before main credits roll.
Wait,
which main? It's Kojima.
So it's a Kojima game. So there was one set of credits where actually you're still moving around. You're still able to interact. You have maybe just a very I don't know. It's like the actors and maybe the core team from Kojima Productions that they do the credits for. Then in main credits, obviously, it's everyone. But I kind of got to a point where I'm going through this and going, okay, yeah, sure, I understand this. I get how the story sort of works. I get where all of this kind of falls in. There's a very big twist at the end, which I kind of had a very, very slight inkling towards, but it was kind of like a fleeting thought. I'm like, I don't think this is it. Maybe this is it, but I don't think it is, because they haven't really alluded to that. And then there's sort of, that actually happens. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, sure, I get this. And then that final moment, and I was happy to turn it off at that point. Actually, I think there was the final thing that you have to do, which takes you maybe 5 minutes. It's like the last delivery you have to do. I think I just wept the entire fucking time. I'm just sort of like, I'm fucking, this just instantly, I'm just like, holy fuck. Yes, yeah, absolutely.
You're seeing credits for the 18th
time. With the final moment of his game, I'm just like, fuck. Wow. And I think it came through, and it tells you all your stats at the end. I think I racked up about 70 hours in this. And I know. Fuck. But yes, I mean,
were you weeping at all that lost time?
No, before then. I think just the anticipation of knowing how much time I'd lost. Yeah. But I don't know whether it's just this week, whether I'm just working too much. But I finished still there. And I had a little cry at the end of that as well. So that remained obtuse throughout in terms of its puzzles. The narrative opens up very nicely. There's some really good interaction between your character and the girl on the end of the radio who you're chatting with. There's a lot of stuff around kind of closure about the death of family members, the death of children. There's a lot of stuff kind of around this, and I'm just again, I don't know whether I finished still there before Death Stranding, so I don't know whether when Death Stranding hit, it's kind of just that leftover element from what's still there had kind of started to bubble up a little bit. Okay. I don't know whether I
or you have Stockholm syndrome.
It could be. I don't know whether I would have felt the same had I not have had. I have a child, so I'm suddenly in that frame of mind. I'm like, fuck, this would be like fucking. I know what this would be like, or how, or at least how I think I would feel. So whether that played a little bit into it as well, but yeah, still there. As I say, remained just as obtuse through its. The puzzles that it wants you to do, the different things that it wants, but still solid story that that is rewarding and leads somewhere to give a really good payoff towards the end. And just before we open more beers, I had those experiences. I'd done all of these things, and I wanted something else. And I know we were talking last week that I needed something that was maybe a bit more like gamey, a little bit more kind of just, I don't know, something that wasn't this heavy. Right. So I started Pax Nova, which is a 4X game strategy published by Iceberg Interactive. It's one of the other games that I won through that competition.
Right.
And I started it, and it's in early access, which you kind of expect. Maybe there's it's developed to a certain level, but it is, and I don't know. I don't think this is an Iceberg Interactive thing. It's even more obtuse as a 4X game, and still there was obtuse as a point-and-click game. It tries to not subvert the standard sort of 4X systems, but tries to put its own spin on things. So, you don't have food, gold, science, industry, all of these things that you kind of expect that you're going to have to have and build up to be able to do certain things. They change the names of lots of stuff. It's quite basic in terms of things like its combat. It doesn't quite delve into something like Endless Legend, which was really good. You had this army moving around, and suddenly you're on this battlefield, or at least the army expands and you move across these kind of grids. It might do, but I didn't get that far into Pax Nova to really explore. I kind of played a bit, maybe an hour.
Yeah.
And I just turned it off. I just was not in the mood for it.
Yeah.
And I think, had I have felt the want, I would have played Endless Legend. I would have played Civ 6. That very easily allow you to understand what's going on. Even Endless Legend has some a change in some of the terminology and things like that, but it's explained very clearly. Pax Nova doesn't really explain itself very well. Gives you little tutorial tips, tries to tell you certain things. Elements like the text is too small, it's quite a strain to read. So you're having to work to understand the game, to kind of know what you're doing. It doesn't really explain how you use your population very well, and these sorts of things. I'm very much kind of exploring what this game is trying to do as I'm playing it, rather than just being able to play it. So that one got turned off very quickly. Absolutely.
Go on.
No, I was just had I wanted, I've just come from two intense experiences. I didn't want that then.
Yeah. So looking at the reviews, it seems like, this is just a common complaint. One, it's still technically in early access.
Yes.
And like Knucklehead73 says, I don't know. Average graphics, hard to tell what's going on exactly. Odd storyline? My advisors gave me a quest to start a war to build reputation on turn 3 on a planet we just landed on. War with who? Just seems fake. Like one of those games that are just a shell. And it just sounds like they just haven't done that internal polish. All the other games are basically like, all the other reviews rather basically like it's just not ready. It's kind of bland and boring. I've played all the Civs and Total Wars and Stellaris and many other 4X. And let me just say that this game is boring. Sorry, boring. That's LJ, who played 1.3 hours before telling everyone it was boring. That sounds like your experience is in line with the masses.
How long does it usually take to get into one of those games and know that this is the one?
I don't know. Like there's I was kind of looking forward to Pax Nova because it's that sci-fi setting.
Have you played Stellaris?
I've not played
Oh, you
Stellaris.
yeah.
Stellaris, not Solaris, the film.
Yeah,
Stellaris. No,
Stellaris.
no, I haven't played Stellaris. Again, I haven't played Endless Space either. Another sort of 4X space conquesty kind of strategy game. But I don't know. I don't know how long it kind of takes you. I think every game is a little bit different. But if you don't feel it within, say, like the first hour, or at least not just feel it, but understand the main thrust of what you're trying to do.
I think that's key.
That's it's how do I expand? What am I doing? When should I? When's the sort of the key strategic moment for me to have another settlement? Who are these people over here? Okay, I can see that they've already done these kinds of things. So should I have done those kinds of things as well? Is that sort of what
real time strategy?
No, they're turn based.
Oh, it's turn based.
It's like
so you can get through quite a few turns.
Yeah, and a lot of the problem was that once I realised that I could click on, say, a farm, which would produce more food, and the game doesn't quite neatly say these are kind of the tiles which maybe the farm would work the best on. So you put it on one of those. It's going to take 8 turns to build.
Yeah.
And apart from moving my scout around, early game strategy problems, there's nothing much to do. And just end turn.
Yeah, I mean, the world building is what sort of gets you past that initial hump. If the game is just that sort of generic 4X experience, is like you have to make the world exciting, and that means you have to. Whether that's just more fucking exposition off the top, so that you're like, cool, this seems cool. I'm now okay with burning a few minutes doing the nonsense. I mean, ideally, you have learned from the mistakes. That everyone knows that the early part of a 4X game, since Civ 2, is kind of grindy and stupid.
Yeah.
There are ways to do that, right? That's what barbarians are in Civ, right? They make no difference later on, but they are things you can interact with because you don't want your game will be bad if you're really close to another civilization right off the top. But you want something to do while you're just basically doing city management, but there's a map in front of you, and some of your units need to are map-based units, right? Like that's just how the push and pull is.
Yeah, and again, I think that's why Endless Legend did so well, that it gave you something compelling. Obviously a very new setting, but you could instantly recognise the different things that it wanted you to kind of look for. Pax Nova falls into an issue where you've got an icon on a screen, and I just have no idea what that resource is, whether I should be collecting it, if I even can collect it. I've got to wait for my city to expand towards it. Can I buy tiles? No. Okay, I just have to wait until my city decides that that's going to be within its borders to then use. What do I even use it for? What research do I need to unlock? So, I mean, there is a bare bones game there. Absolutely. There's a lot of work that needs to go into it to bring it up to a reasonable standard, to contend with these other games. And I've only played an hour, so I'm currently only on one planet, and it suggests that I will then be setting off to other worlds and other places, encountering other people. And whether it's a star system or Stellaris is quite big in kind of the kind of playable area, almost, from what I can remember. And most of my experience of Stellaris is watching Dave and Sean of Pillbug play, because they did about a 10-week sort of stream of it, kind of like working through it, working across the system, I suppose, or the small galaxy that it's sort of like set in. And Stellaris looks very expansive, and Pax Nova starting you off on the planet almost makes it seem quite small. Yeah. And I get that they're kind of maybe trying to build up to that expansive. That's the reveal. Like,
right, but
hey,
I mean,
suddenly,
your game has to capture people.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I didn't know that Endless Space 2 came out in 2017.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years. Yeah,
and it's apparently a well reviewed game. I enjoyed Endless Space 1 quite a bit. I mean, The biggest problem with it is it's one of those. Boy, is this a big 4X game?
Yeah.
And like, I don't. It's hard to jump back into a saved map of a 4X game after a little while because you're like, wait, what the fuck was going on? Also, what are all these fucking mechanics? I don't know. And then you're like, oh, cool. I think I was doing rather well. Then like 5 turns later, like, I fucked everything up because I don't remember anything. But yeah, I mean, I liked Stellaris a lot, and I liked Inner Space 1. I'm assuming it's probably right cheap, actually.
Yeah, Inner Space 2 goes on sale quite often. I know Amplitude and Sega quite often do free weekends as well for Inner Space.
So you could get through like a quarter of a map.
Yeah, you could have a reasonable amount of time with something. A taster, I suppose, to see if you wanted to do that. But yeah. I mean, I might return to Pax Nova in like 6 months or something like that.
I mean,
maybe when it comes out of early access.
Yeah, when it actually becomes a full-fledged game. Because right now, I mean, this is why I struggle with early access. Some things just are really fun and great in early access, and you're like, I get this. And a lot of games just are, we're not ready, but and that can taint you against it. So
absolutely.
I played something in early access. I played that Scourge Bringer.
Oh yeah,
that sounds like a magic card name, like an artifact.
It does. It's a pixelated 2D action platforming roguelike. Yeah, that's a lot of words. It's very much looks like Dead Cells with the girl from Celeste, Madeline.
Right.
Yeah, I did read that
that
it is sort of a bit comparative to Celeste in terms of its like dash platforming kind of.
Yes, there's a lot of dashing, a lot of loop, fluid movement, and the Dead Cells comparison is it's got a little Metroid map, and it's a roguelike. So I played it for 10 minutes. Feels good. Okay. But it's a roguelike. So I was like, I died. I went back to the big. Obviously, it's a roguelite or whatever. So you keep some. You can gain abilities. And
it's
keep
got
some things, but
RPG elements that continue over lives.
Yeah, but it's more that I think less the fact that it's early access, the fact that it's a. I was just like, yeah, I know what this is. This seems really cool, but probably not for me.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's fair. F roguelikes.
I was
can't stand them.
Titan Souls the other day.
Oh yeah.
I started that and I was like, I died to one boss.
And
same.
think I know I engaged with and understood and figured out the second boss. I either quit when I was like, okay, this is how it works. I don't know if I want to do a game like this, or beat it. And then I was like, I'm not going back to this. And
you died really like me, and then you had to walk through like the Lost Forest again. And I was like, nope.
Titan Soul was the one with the bow and arrow, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like I'm not walking through this 10 minutes worth of shrubbery to get to this boss that I've already encountered. At me at the start of the boss, like a video game. I
mean, I felt the same with Hyperlight Drifter as well.
Is that a rogue?
Yeah.
Shame. I actually wanted to play that.
But, it checkpointed you back to the beginning of the area, and you had to move through the area again to get back to the boss.
That's an odd.
Yeah, I mean, but it was it's split into, I think, from what I played, 4 different sections, and you move your way through one of the sections, and then you can get to the boss.
But it's procedurally generated as that fun concept.
I'm glad.
Reset me back 10 screens ago and make all the 10 screens different. Thanks, game.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's definitely some kind of gaming terminology that kind of shouldn't be put together. Roguelite and procedurally generated.
Yeah.
God, I mean, and that was just the thing for so many just random kind of shitty.
Still is. I think Scourge Bringer. So I think it's procedurally generated.
And when you've got something like Rogue Legacy, which
Oh, I fucking love that. That's one of
Super,
my...
yeah, but because it lent into both of those elements wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And really well. It was.
Well, and they
was
figured out
fully about that.
Yeah, they clearly had balance on their procedural generation, right? Like, oh,
She'll be back.
wait.
Yeah,
Yeah.
present.
Cool. I had another thing I wanted to bring up.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, in the year of our Lord 2020, Humble Bundle changed the way they do their subscription Humble Monthly. Kind of just... Yeah, a couple months ago, but it might have been the year of our Lord 2019. Sorry.
Yeah. That's fine.
Who's Lord?
And I find it
not mine.
odd.
It's still the year 100 in mine.
Yeah. So it used to be you just got a stack of keys thrown into your Humble Key library.
Yep.
Now, so the
you
first
have
month, so now there's basically 12 games this month, and I get 9.
Oh, okay.
And so I have to pick them and then presumably redeem the key, which sucks because picking them redeems the key, but I don't immediately use them because sometimes I might give them away. And the way I normally curate my Humble Key library is, did I click redeem? So like when I sent Lucy a code, I was like, I'm pretty sure this won't work because it was already redeemed for Hitman, and lo and behold, it was already used.
Would you like me to make you a spreadsheet?
No, but it's just annoying because
send me all the keys on.
Yeah, but it's also like now I have to pay
now
more.
I have a million games
on the monthly to be like, wait, which of the 12 versus just getting it. So now it's like I have to do research. Like I'm gonna. So Frostpunk is this month. I'm gonna get it because I was really interested in it last year or whenever it came out.
That came to the Game Pass, but then I didn't play it for some reason.
Yeah, I'm like
strategy game.
So
that was the reason, but there was something else about it.
So I have a Kami on the PlayStation something or other. So that'll probably be in the 4 dead points. But yeah, it's just kind of not my favorite move. I kind of like, look, we're giving you a basket versus now you have to do work.
There was a lot of pushback, I remember, when they announced. I think it was like mid last year. There was quite
I missed all of that because I just wasn't.
Do you think this has come because they were bought out by IGN, weren't they, or at least IGN's parent company? Do you think that they've having new owners? They have turned around and said, you know, we'd like you to do something slightly different with this.
Possibly. I think it's probably just behind the scenes. This just like key dumping. So one of the things I don't know is whether you have a limited time to actually choose the games.
Right.
I haven't looked into it, but like if that was the case, then.
So it ticks over to next month. You've just missed out on 9
I don't
of
know.
those 12 games.
I'm not claiming that's the case. I'm saying that might be a thing, in which case that might be a sort of like, now we don't have to pay out. But I would be shocked if they did that because it.
I don't know about you, but when I get free stuff, I redeem that straight away.
I used to, but that's why I have fucking 1,400 games in Steam. And actually, a lot of the time, it's like, oh, you know, someone mentions an older game, I'm like, oh, I have a copy of that. If I had kept the key, I could just give it to you.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've never played it. I probably never will. It is just going to be in my account. And so I stopped doing that a couple years ago, because I used to be like that too. And I had, you know, a small bundle addiction, where it's like, I want that game, and it's cheaper for me to buy 12, including that game, than it by itself. And then I just put all 12 into my library right away. And it's like, well, that's... I mean, between, like, being involved in Facebook groups that used to give away games, and, like, sometimes in TUP we used to, like, throw keys out there, like, I'd rather do that with games I'm unsure about.
Just keep
especially given that I don't play all.
Because I doubt the code itself expires.
Yeah, I just need to keep better track of which ones I use.
Put it in a document and just be like, this is this game.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I
First
think
world problems, Aadil.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's admin.
I'm joking.
I'm,
Nah, it's more work, and it's like
yeah.
nobody needs more work.
Yeah, and again, it's interesting that
We
they've
all
done that they've made you pick 9 of 12. Why not just curate 9 games and give you all
Well,
of
that's
those?
what I mean, right? And the thing is, they
I don't know. I think that's
it's more choice. Like it
good,
sounds
yeah.
nice.
Hmm.
Oh, Eliza, I'm gonna actually get that.
Yeah,
one.
get
Oh, I
that.
really want to
I
play
enjoyed
Eliza.
good.
Yeah,
I
it's actually
enjoyed it.
on my wish list, and I got a code, so this one comes to me.
How much is it usually? Like 15?
15 quid maybe? Yeah,
I
something
think I
like
bought
that.
it on sale on Switch.
It's actually it's
For like
it's
8.
it's 11.39 regular price.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
It's
enjoyed it.
Yeah. And so
Yeah,
one of the things.
I think that's currently just under Telling Lies on my Steam wishlist.
Oh, I don't
Timing-wise,
fucking
I did
order
not
my
enjoy it.
goddamn Steam. You order your Steam list?
Yeah.
You admin people.
I used to. Now I just sort it by highest discount.
Yeah, highest discount
Yeah.
most of the time. Yeah, yeah.
There's the game that I want to buy, which I saw on Switch, but I remember seeing a while
Bird
ago.
Attorney.
It's called Speed Dating for Ghosts.
Ooh.
Oh.
Another visual novel style thing.
Yeah.
It looks quite humorous. I think it's about ghosts saying like how they died all these grisly deaths, and it's like speed dating. And that's apparently it's coming to mobile for £1.99, although it's on Steam for £2 on sale, £2.56 or
Wow.
something. So I'm debating where to get it. I'm not going to get it on Switch because it's like £5, which is comparative to the normal Steam price.
Yeah,
but
a visual novel sounds like it would be a good mobile experience.
Yeah, play it on my iPad or something.
Yeah.
But I'm very much in love with my gaming PC, so I'd play anything. Still
Even
eyeing
one
up
over,
buying
you're done.
Hitman 2.
Yeah. Good. Right. Should we open some more beers?
Yeah, just to go back to mine.
Oh, I get a bonus game because I paid for the year last year. So there's only 2 games I won't get.
Nice.
Hooray!
I'll have that Project Warlock.
You both actually
two
called
in my
dibs on that
veins.
one.
No, I've got Project Warlock.
Me
Project
too.
Warlock's
Oh,
good.
do you?
I
I thought you
haven't
already
thinking
had
about
it.
it. Yeah.
No, it's good.
That's why I want it. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's right.
back
Yeah.
to my beer. I said that I'd keep supping on it because I suspected that I'd probably start enjoying it more when it started warming up in temperature. And yeah, either I became used to it, acclimated to it, or the temperature did make it less abrasive in terms of its dryness and bitterness. So yeah, a bit more of the fruit tones and flavours at the start started to come out and mellow out that bitterness. So it grew on me over time,
Nice.
Oh, good.
which I'm
Cool.
pleased about. At the
Excellent.
start, wasn't that thrilled?
Yeah, a little bit down on it to start, but it's grown, which is good.
Yeah.
It's always nice from a beer. Right, my next beer is from Wild Horse Brewing Company. Haven't had a beer from these guys for a little while. Haven't seen them for a little while. This is the 872 IPA. It's got Citra, Mosaic, and Simcoe, as the front tells me. On the back, 872 is a soft and juicy IPA brewed with a high proportion of oats and generously hopped with Citra, Mosaic, and Simcoe. This beer is the first in an occasional series brewed in the name of experimentation and creativity. It then also has it in Welsh. Very good. Well done. That is everything. What is the percentage? Where is that? I don't know. Oh, there. 6.2%. So a little bit lower than the boundary, which obviously I opened because I had to do it not here. Would have drank these the other way around. But I've always enjoyed the beers I've had from Wild Horse. I think I've had like 3 or 4 from them now. And they've always been good. So looking forward to this. Lucy, what have you got next?
I have a beer from one of my
Start.
well, it's a step up from the green tea that I've had in like the last 3 weeks. From Yonder. It's one of the.
Nice.
Is this 500 ml? How big is this bottle? 375.
375, yeah. They do the half wine bottle sized. Yeah.
And it's 7.5%. It is called Golden Casket, and it's a triple. So a
Nice.
triple, and I was like, I'm gonna pick that up.
Fuck, I haven't had a
Nice.
triple in goddamn forever.
Double and a triple. There's nothing really on here. Brewed and bottled by Yonder Brewing, blending in the UK, Somerset. It's got sumac and orange peel in it. So,
Sumac. Ooh.
yeah. Along with the classics, barley, wheat, hops, and all that good stuff. So, yeah,
Neat.
looking forward to this.
Good. Aadil, what have you got next?
I have the Ninkasi Noir,
Ah.
which is a
Isn't that the name of the brewing god?
Yes.
Yeah.
yes. So sorry, it's a Beer Noir de Lyon. It won the 2015 Best Porter of the World in World Beer Awards and the 2017 Best Porter of France. It
Nice.
is a beer that is 5.1%. It has some French words. Its notes, its aromas are chocolat, caramel, and not grillé. I'm assuming that means burnt notes.
I don't know.
It is reasonably acidic.
What was the word?
Grile accent gras aigu es. Grillé.
Brulee.
Grillé.
Grillé.
Ah,
It also has these categories which you can't see. Focus on me. That one's acid.
Some long bars. Yep.
That's acid.
Acid.
Acidity.
pure acid.
But I don't know what Ducur is. Doeur and amertume. It doesn't really matter. It actually has text. I'm just not able to convey it to you guys, even though
pure
I
acid.
took years of French growing up.
Well, I've got a degree in it, so I'll just end that there.
Yeah.
Just
As
just
I
leave
go.
now. Just go on.
Yeah,
Just
okay,
leave.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, so obviously by ABV, I should have drunk this first, but it's a porter, and I was
Yeah.
liking an APA.
Yeah. It
Okay.
makes sense.
Lucy, Amertume. I think I lost you. Amertume. What word is that? Amertume?
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway,
I don't
I'll
think
just
she's
look it up on the
listening to
internet. No, that's fine. Checking her voicemail.
I needed another
Oh, bitterness.
bottle opener.
Okay, it is 2/3 bitter. I don't know why I just didn't use the fucking internet like a, modern person. Oh yeah,
I'm a modern boy.
yeah, that's me. Wait, that says it's a bribe. I spelled it wrong.
A bribe.
What?
I'm gonna drink my beer while you're doing that.
Sweetness of manner. So I assume it's very sweet, a little bitter, and a little acidic.
Okay.
Anyway, that I've poured the beer. I've talked about the beer very poorly. How's your beer been in the taste?
So
Oh.
it's a very I don't know if it's the Citra Mosaic Simcoe kind of mix, but it makes me think of kind of slightly more traditional IPAs. It's got a nice bit of carbonation to it, but the flavours coming through, I say traditional IPAs, I'm getting a bit more kind of grapefruity to start, leading into a little bit of a nice kind of malty sort of sweetness on the back of that. It doesn't give me, it's not a big kind of juice flavour. It's a little bit more reserved than that. I think the nose is a little more edging towards those slightly stewed elements to it as well.
Okay.
Which after a couple of sips do come through, but it's a bit more grapefruity. A little bit of kind of a dankness hiding in the background a little bit, leading into a little bit of maltiness, trying to kind of push over the top of all of this. Some citrus in there as well, working its way through. Don't think it's orange. It's a little bit more sort of like lemony and kind of almost from the slight tingle of my tongue, a little bit sort of zesty, almost.
Zesty.
Yeah, you kind of have this. And I don't know whether it's maybe the sweetness which is coming across as that, but maybe like a slight sharpness to it, which is making me think of, like lemon zest, that kind of thing, where you have this slight sort of sharp element to it, but can come across as a little sweet as well. Has a very, very, very light bitterness towards the end. Doesn't linger, unlike the Boundary, which the flavour stuck around for a while. This goes quite quickly, but isn't anywhere near as dry as the Boundary. So it's an interesting difference between these two beers. The first one was super dry, but the taste lingered. This one isn't that dry, isn't as dry as the previous one, and the taste goes quite quickly. So it's nice and wet, and you don't feel like it's taking anything away, and suddenly it's just kind of gone. So interesting, but yeah, a little bit more of a grapefruity kind of mix, definitely on the start of this, and then as I say, leading into that citrus, leading into a slight dankness, a little bit of sweetness coming in, and that sort of zesty, sharp element to it. I don't think I held it up for anybody, but a similar, not quite as hazy as the Boundary, but a similar colour, maybe not quite as dark as the Boundary, but coming over a little bit more maybe orangey than it shows on the screen, and the quite nice simple can there, nice. A little bit of almost like a 3D map, some contours, some kind of tor or hill or something, but yeah, enjoying this. Nice. Lucy, you've managed to open it.
Yeah, eventually.
How is it?
The first thing, it's a great looking beer. It's just a bit darker than straw. It's completely opaque. Nice one finger head. Now settle down. When I opened the bottle and smelt it, smelled like I was opening a sour with a triple. So at first I was thinking, oh, is this skunked? I don't know. Don't usually see beers in green bottles these days.
No, and Yonder, I think they're quite consistent with their like farmhouse yeast as well.
Oh yeah.
So
Definitely.
whether that's kind of what is presenting itself to you,
or their mixed fermentation. But yeah, it smells really, really, really. It smells like, oh yeah, drink a like Berliner of ice, rather than a triple. Getting a bit of orange zest, orange peel on the nose. Yeah, a bit of lemon. But that's with sumac. I don't know how I'm gonna differentiate that from everything, but I'll taste it.
Sumac is an Egyptian spice mix. Am I right in thinking that?
It's a plant, I believe.
Yeah, I thought it was just a spice.
What am I thinking of?
Saffron. I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
It's actually the name for about 35 different species of flowering plant, but it is a plant-based spice, yeah. Apparently, it's often used in place of lemon juice or zest. So it should be like a bittering type. Yeah, tart, lemony, almost vinegar-like flavor.
Yeah, I'm getting that then. When you say like tart and vinegary,
Yeah.
I'm getting that for sure. Not vinegary in a bad way though, as I feared, because I thought it might have got something like that.
Right.
I should say that it's only 7.5%, so it's not like, oh, we're going, full on triple kind of strength.
Right.
But yeah, it's like a cross between a Berliner Weiss and what you'd consider like, a triple, but it's definitely got that distinctive like Belgian-y yeast. I don't know if it's their house yeast, as you said, but they've definitely got that kind of estery, banana peel clove kind of quality to it.
Yeah.
But then, you've got that kind of light, zesty, slight sourness to it.
So, having a very quick look, the sumac, when used as a spice, gives a slight soured, lemony flavour to things.
Yeah, definitely. Like, that's what I smell, and that's definitely in the taste. It's really good. It's probably like not much that I've had before. It's definitely like a mix between a sour, but you don't have that like puckering sourness to it.
Right.
And a mix between like a light, Belgian-y beer, but it's called a triple. But I mean, don't know what is it just the amount of malt they put in it? I don't know what categorizes it as a triple.
Well, we always think of like double as like 8 to sort of 10% roughly, 7.5 to 10%, something like that. And then triple is possibly a little bit more, 10.5 to whatever, 12. 13 or 12, but perhaps I don't know how actually things are classified, whether it's more to do with like yeast strains and the way that things are fermented, the way things are brewed, or if it is just an ABV sort of
I used to know this
classification.
I thought it was to do with the malt, but I may be completely wrong. Okay. But anyway, it's got a bit of flavour.
Again, we could Google this. We've just worked out what sumac is and the flavours that it's giving you. The internet
it's got a
is
bit
our
of
friend.
flavour text. It says legend has it that one of the many barrows in the Mendip Hills, I don't know where that is, probably somewhere over here. I don't know. Could be anywhere.
Mendips.
The Mendip Hills.
Mendips are south of Bristol. It's like North Somerset-y.
Well, they are in Somerset, aren't they? So I'm very, very proud, Ben. Well done. That's good geography.
Mate, it's like it's 2 minutes down the road. I should know that, shouldn't I? Right? I've lived within a 2-hour radius of where I am now my entire life. So
interesting to you then. Apparently, legend has it that one of the merry barrows of the Mendip Hills holds a coffin made of pure gold. Unfortunately, it's probably not true. So why don't you drown your sorrow with that delicious take on a Belgian triple brewed with sumac and orange?
Nice.
Well, that's interesting. Well, it is called Golden Casket. And
yeah.
Casket.
There are 3 different variety styles of beer that obviously correlate to ABV level, but they are made entirely differently. They're just different beers that happen to live in those ranges, and in Belgium got described as such.
Okay. They're very good. But yeah, this is really nice. This is unique. And I guess all the Yonder beers that I've had are unique, so
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Yeah,
really,
they're
really
very
like them.
good. They're very, very good at making very individual beers.
Interesting. So doubles are dark because they include candy sugar, and triples use a Pilsner malt, and that's why they have this sort of more straw goldeny color.
We were all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
We
usually
nailed
what
it.
happens on this podcast. We're all right all of the time. That's how it works. Aadil, let's come to you and
Oh
your,
yeah. I
your
was
beer.
supposed to- this is a beer. It smells like. Actually, it's quite light on the quite light on the nose. Smells mildly. I mean, it smells kind of like a porter, but it's quite light.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually quite smooth. It's quite thin, I would say. Leaves you a little wet. Has a little bittering on the aftertaste. You get some malts. They're malts. It's not actually super malt forward for a porter, such that the chocolate's slight toffee sweetness comes through. What I really like is that it's not that sweet. There was a worry that, given that it said it was more sweet than bitter, or whatever the other word was, acidic.
Yes.
I was worried it might be too sweet, but it's actually just all three of those are kind of light. So it has a sweetness. The sweetness does linger, but the bitterness stays for a while as well. It's just slightly lighter. It's just kind of a really easy, drinkable porter. That as everything else fades, you get a little more sense of the maltiness and a bit of the chocolate sort of notes. But yeah, it's just a solid porter.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, you are the Porter King.
I don't know about that.
You're
There's also
Sam,
like a
I'm going to
touch
call
of
you Sam Bridges Porter.
Sam Porter
Looks to Ben.
Bridges, yeah.
Okay.
right. Yeah, good lord. There is a slight dried fruit, hint of dried fruit.
Wide
Right off
Ocean
the top.
Sam Porter.
Nice. No, that's fine. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Wait, how big is Sam Porter Bridges' jacket?
Well, he's got to get it over all of that cargo as well, hasn't he? So it's
Yeah.
actually really fucking big.
There is an ocean in that game, or is it just a beach? I don't know. Is it an ocean to the beach?
There is an ocean, yes. You can't go into it, you can't cross it, can't do anything with it.
Well, you can't
Good
go
look
into
at
it.
it.
Don't you wake up in it?
Oh yeah.
You do. Well, no. So if you die, you wake up above your body in the area that you died,
Yeah.
but in water. So you're submerged,
Yes.
but it's just the area that you died in.
So you're not
it's-
in the mythical ocean.
you're not in
a
the
different
ocean.
water.
Yeah,
Sounds
you're
horrifying.
in. Yeah, that's maybe what this. I don't know. Yeah.
Jar babies.
But you're not stranded.
No, well, no, you're not stranded because Sam
Magic.
Porter Bridges can, as they call it, repatriate.
Yeah.
So he can come back from the dead.
I think we need a spoiler cast with everything that Ben understands about this game.
Just go through
There's
the
your
whole
bonus
story
episode.
straight through. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
From
As it-
what
yeah.
you interpret and all the.
That's
all
it.
the- I want to do that.
£10,000 a month, £10,000 a month extra episode we were talking about earlier. That's it. Death Stranding spoiler cast.
Because, yeah, I don't mind being spoiled on it.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. Well, I guess maybe I might borrow it from Ben one day once I finish all the other games Ben
Yes.
lent me. By the
Yeah,
time I
do
try
have
and
it on
play it,
disc.
there'll be no one left on the servers, so there'll be no strands, and it'll
So
be.
I did. I mean,
Yeah,
I've been
zip
surprised, and I don't know how it works, but I've been surprised with the amount of interaction that I had from leftover. Not buildings, they're not items, structures, let's say.
Yeah.
So whether that's a generator or a bridge over a river or something that other players have left, I don't know how it's kind of tying you into a group of different people to interact with. There was lots of kind of cargo left over. and you find cargo kind of on the ground. If people have died, you might find something that they'd kind of left behind that you can then re-deliver back to them. And this was, I was surprised that there was as much interaction rather than it kind of being an empty world, really.
Yeah.
So they've done quite well in that regard at keeping this going for what are we in now? February. So I started it maybe a few weeks ago. So say let's say mid to end of January. It released in November time. So we're 2.5 months roughly after release. There's still quite a lot of stuff on there. So
what you should do is just wait till it's free on PS Plus in 5 years, or wait till it's free on Humble in 3 years.
Yeah, well, Humble, it's coming to PC in like 3 months' time. So yeah, you'll get it on Humble at some point in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I might have to choose between. Like at that point, it's going to be like you get 2 games and a bucket of 17, and you're like, the whole point of this was I was getting a curated feed. Now you're making me curate it.
You got a point there, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I went to this restaurant with just a la carte on the menu, and now you just opened up the buffet.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. I came because... So, yeah.
Now I have to be a glutton.
I'll take the chef's menu. Oh, yeah, but what sides do you want? What do you mean, what sides do I want? I asked for the chef's menu. That's probably the most pretentious way to complain about getting cheap video games. No.
Oh, let's move on. Lucy, we haven't come to you yet about what you want to discuss this week.
I have games.
I do have another game to talk about, which I can talk about later. That's fine. If we get to it.
Okay.
Lucy, you have games. What games have you got?
I have a game that's coming out on Steam, so that's Tuesday, so a day before.
Yep.
You avid listeners should be listening to this. Happy band. That's corporate holiday. It's called Luna, the Shadow Dust, which is a point-and-click adventure game. Or I'd say not in the traditional sense, whereas you don't really have an inventory, and it's more of a puzzle game where the puzzles are really confined to a single screen or a set of screens. You're not going for an arching narrative where you keep, I don't know, a balloon in your pocket.
Just in case it might come up.
Yeah, from start to finish. It's very self-contained individual puzzles, because you're basically going through this tower and you're going floor by floor. So you're going level by level and all. There's no... Your infantry doesn't carry over because you have one, items are not carried forward or anything like that. So, very self-contained puzzle. What really caught my eye to it was the art style. It's got that, as you discussed a few weeks ago, Ben. It's got that like kind of the snowman kind of like hand-drawn animation, and that's. I think that's how a lot of people come to this game, not necessarily by its content or the style of game, but just seeing that really striking art, and that goes a long way. I mean, it's that art style that you've seen in the cutscenes, as well as just the overall presentation of the game. So everything's hand drawn. It's like any one of these screens could be like my desktop wallpaper, because it's that good looking. But in terms of its puzzles, I really liked its puzzles. It's not a game that overstays its welcome. I think it's probably took me about 4 hours to complete in total. As I say, the puzzles are self-contained, so it's like you're not really having to use knowledge of like prior puzzles or something. Develop knowledge over time. It's
it's not building on itself.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, can you figure out this puzzle? And it's like most of the time it was. I wouldn't say simple, but it's like straightforward. It's like I know what I have to. in the times where I struggled, it was either, oh, the game has to, I'm waiting for the animations to play out. I know what I have to do. I'm just waiting for, this character who I thought was a girl all the time is a boy. But I'm just going to call her a girl. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter to the overarching. It's like this character. And you get to see more of their backstory through these little vignettes, animated vignettes. But it was more what challenged me was having to wait for these animations to play out. Seeing this character move from this side of the screen to that side of the screen, pick this thing up, move over here, walk up this ladder, and it's like, yeah, it looks beautiful and all, but it's like, I know what I need to do. Just
right,
letting those animations play out, which is fine, and it's like cool. And there was some times where it was, the puzzle didn't exactly present to me what I was meant to be doing, and I had struggled for a bit, but overall it's like, basic comprehension, you can understand these puzzles. Not really gonna challenge you that much. It's just a nice, my brain's ticking over a bit, but it's not being overworked. It's not, steam isn't coming out my ears. But overall it was a nice experience. About 4 hours. It tells a story. It didn't really resonate with me. I think it's trying to go for something grander than its budget and length in terms of time allows it. And I think the music and the overall presentation and the look of it is probably more emotional than the story itself. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a good solid point and click puzzle game, and I do recommend it because it looked. I think it's USP how great it looks, and it's like on top of that, it's not like everything else just falls apart. It's just like great to look at, but puzzles ain't that great. So it's not one of those. I've played plenty of those, where it's like, okay, this has got like a claymation art style, for example.
Yeah.
But the puzzles just don't add up. You can see where the budget went. Whereas this is more of a, package. It's more of a package. So yeah, definitely recommend that from Lantern Studio.
Nice.
Another game that I have to talk about is called. I have to talk about. I shouldn't say that. Sounds like I'm obligated. I want to talk about is Ministry of Broadcast, which is a pixelated 2D. I say that a lot on this podcast. It's almost like I have preference for games, but a 2D platforming. I'd say it's like a narrative, like in the vein of Prince of Persia or Another World.
Ooh.
This is made by Hitsense, who did the Draw Stickman games, which I actually really liked, and this is like, okay, this is a complete departure from that. Those are more like adventure games, and this is more like a 2D Prince of Persia platforming game. But it's got a really interesting setting where you're basically in a, I wouldn't want to say post-apocalyptic, but it is kinda. It's like a reality TV show, like the Truman Show, where it's based
like Running Man.
Yeah, it's like Takeshi's Castle, but you're having to get to the end to see your family at the end.
Oh wow!
Which is
okay.
What I imagine Takeshi's Castle is. Because the people in that show are running across those like stone like platforms in water and just smashing into like life depends on it.
Yeah.
So it's Takeshi's Castle in pixelated. But yeah, it's interesting. I haven't finished it. I think it's probably about 7 hours in.
Oh, that's hefty.
But it's yeah, it's got this weird satirical like kind of pokey humor to it, where it's like you are killing people, you are sacrificing people to get through like this, gauntlet, and it does it in amusing way. There are some moments where it tries to be a bit more serious, but it's like, how much more serious can I take this when it's like,
Sure, yeah.
Right.
yeah, but it's my kind of jam because it's like it's got that very narrative kind of platformer vibe to it where the movement is and the platform is secondary to like that kind of the whole art style and presentation and story of it. So you're getting to unearth like, oh, what is this universe where you're basically in the Truman Show and having to compete for your life, and that's more at the forefront than, you know, gameplay. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking forward to finishing it. I wish I'd, you know, got a bit more deeper in at this point, but I think it's got good reviews so far, which is good on the good old Steams, because that's where I think that's the only place where it's available.
Sure.
I think it came out a few weeks ago. But yeah, I will update you once I finish it.
Absolutely. Nice.
I have one more game, which I'll probably talk about it again next week because I haven't quite finished it. And guess what it is? It's a fill in the blanks.
Bird detective game? Bird attorney game?
No,
The 2D pixelated.
yeah, it's 2D pixelated.
Come on now, Ben.
Yeah. Remember Blankety Blank?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, anyway. that's a reference for this week. But it is a 2D pixelated Metroidvania called Kunai. And it's good. I'm really enjoying it. I've almost finished it. Again, I think this is probably about 6-7 hours long. Just right at like the last hurdle, but you're basically playing as this, well, I guess it's a robot, I guess it's like an iPad tablet. You're even called Tabby. And it's post-apocalyptic world where, you know, humans are dead, robots are taking over, you know, that old jam. And it's a Metroidvania. You're getting upgrades in the form of like kunai SMGs, shotgun, you know, all the fun stuff, all fun video game stuff. Shuriken. So, but the USP for this one is that basically the movement, you've got these two grappling hooks. Have either of you like played or seen like Flint Hook?
Yes.
Yeah. It's like that, where it's like you got these grappling hooks, and you're basically swinging. It's just always forward momentum, and it's what you consider like, you know, the typical indie Metroidvania at this point. But as its selling point, it's got that really fast, fluid movement. I mean, it's got that whole, we're trying to be cheeky and clever with humor and stuff like that. It's 2D, it's pixelated, you know, those trappings. But where it's that movement, and it's like, as soon as you start playing it, as soon as you pick it up, like, yes, this feels good, this feels great. It's the same way on like Dead Cells, you can tell, yeah, they worked a lot at how this feels. You know, the tactile movement of it and how everything just feels fluid. You can tell that they worked on that in this, and yeah, it's good. It's really good. It feels great to play. It's not doing anything super different, but for me, who likes those kinds of games, that's fine. And you know, just this one differentiator, you know, makes it stand out. But yeah. I can't
What are
get
you
enough
playing
of
this
those
on?
games. PC. It's also on Switch.
Okay.
Which
Where did
Switch
you-
seems like a great place to play.
Where did you play Scourge Bringer?
PC.
Okay, so both of
I
these
think
games
it's
were
on
on
Xbox
and
as well.
sort of the thing that you know, I picked up about that is both of these games you've kind of praised for how good the movement and that fluid sort of action feels. both compared again as you'd sort of done to Dead Cells. Do you, over those two, do you have a preference?
In how they feel, I wouldn't want to really say it because I only played a little bit of Scourge Bringer, and I think the way that I think that's going to be like a not difficulty curve, but a learning curve to it, where it's like, because there was a lot going on with Scourge Bringer. 'Cause right off the bat, you had like a dash, you had double jump, everything. Whereas like in Kunai, it's more of a, because it's a Metroidvania, you gain abilities over time. So it took like a couple hours for me to get a double jump in Kunai. So it's like, oh, I've mastered how to swing first on these grappling hooks. That feels great. And then I get the double jump, because it was like, oh yeah, I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like I'm missing just a degree of like, obviously because, you know, the game's built that way. It's like, oh yeah, when you're coming back through these areas to, you know, advance the plot or look for secrets and collectibles, you know, the double jump's going to be important here. We're gonna tailor make these levels, you know, for that, because that's what good Metroidvanias do. Like backtracking feels as rewarding as discovering new places, so it feels good in that way. But you know, like a lot of these 2D games, you can immediately tell about if they feel good or not. So as Scourge Bringer did, as well as Dead Cells, as this, as Hollow Knight, Celeste, whatever. Right off the bat, yeah, it feels great. I think, definitely the learning curve of Scourge Bringer, I'd probably have to invest more time into it. But it did feel good, nevertheless, like right off the bat. But it threw everything at once at you. I felt like I probably have to learn this more. Yeah. Right. But yeah, they 2D games are good. Yeah.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
ones that feel good.
Yeah.
I know the ones that I do not like, and that's different for everyone really, because like people really love Super Meat Boy. I do not like how Super Meat Boy feels.
Is it too twitchy, or
it's too floaty? Floaty.
It is very floaty. Yes. Yeah.
There's no heft to that meat.
Do you want some good heft to your meat?
Yes.
Moving on very, very swiftly. I've started 7th Sector, which almost which sits almost in between kind of everything you've just said, Lucy. It's a 2D puzzle game, but more of an action kind of puzzler. Set in a cyberpunky, robot-y based kind of world.
I didn't know it was 2D.
Because
all the... I just see this robot that looks like something out of Portal.
Yeah, it's got this. It's got this very subsurface, circular aesthetic to it as well. It's interesting so far from what I've played. I think they came up with a concept and then struggled to flesh it out, and had to keep thinking of different ways to move on from their core idea. So you start off as this this moat of energy within cables, and you can kind of jump between different cables. You can possess, because your energy, I guess, you can get into certain systems. So you can suddenly inhabit a box which might have like a number puzzle on or something like that, and you have to just move numbers, add numbers up to the number that's on the bottom, and switch them to the other side. So you've got to make 220. So you have to basically just do an addition puzzle, essentially, just to swap over the maximum of 220 onto one side type thing. That allows you then to progress. And you do a few of these different puzzles. There is this tense sort of element to it, which reminds me a little bit of like Limbo Inside kind of vibe to it as well. There's this there's always this
foreboding
nature to it. Absolutely, yes. That kind of evolves as you move through it, because you don't continue through as just this sort of motive energy moving through cables. You then inhabit a small sphere, and it changes up kind of what you're able then to do. So as the sphere, you then have a different set of kind of puzzles that you need to sort of move through and things. So you might move across, and actually you need to change the weight of or put a load of weight on a panel or something like that. So you need to get things to go with you over this, or you need to work out what your number or your code designation is, because you've got to move through a gate, and if you try and go through it, you'll just get vaporized. But then you need to go to a control panel, and using a lot of environmental kind of clues, you need to work out what your designation is. You can then tell the panel that you should be allowed through, and then you can move. You then upgrade into this kind of hulking robot with a small gun on his back. So that again changes the puzzles that you're trying to do and move through. Suddenly there's this sense of combat in there as well. You know, very much maintaining this this foreboding, this very dark, gritty kind of vibe that it's got. And you can see in all of those how this kind of motive energy, as you start out of, graduates between these different then forms, you know, that then inhabits this orb, that then moves into this Hulk. Suddenly there's this cut, and you're this floating head type thing, flying around, able to go into kind of, you know, you've got this very vertical essence to it then suddenly, and it kind of doesn't fall apart. The puzzles work well for what they've put in front of you. They've adapted it to the slightly more vertical kind of sense that you suddenly have, but it doesn't follow in this very abstract story that they're kind of trying to tell. And there's no cutscenes, there's no
environmental
anything. It's all environmental. There's certain things when you're this motive energy where suddenly you inhabit a screen instead of being in kind of cables, and it's trying to tell this bit of a narrative, but it kind of falls apart a little bit, and it's very difficult to follow. I can see what they're trying to do, but it doesn't quite follow through. I haven't finished yet. I'm still this floating, not floating, jet-propelled, hovering robot, essentially. And I can see that, you know, there's a lot of they're trying to kind of tell a story about humans versus robots, and there's kind of the age that this is set in. It's trying to do something that isn't quite conveyed well enough. And you get a little essence of that from the aesthetic that they've gone for. You get an essence of that from the different robots and the upgrading, or not upgrading, but the movement between those different forms that they're inhabiting. But it just isn't quite enough to propel a solid kind of narrative. And it feels like I just feel like I'm going through the motions to move through to the next thing and move through to the next thing. And some of the puzzles are interesting, but they're all quite easy to understand. I have got slightly frustrated with a couple of them because they're difficult to execute and they're frustrating to execute.
Is it the controls that are laying?
Yes, and it's the controls. And I wonder whether on keyboard it would have been a little bit easier to have done that. But playing on a pad and playing on PS4, I got one where I have to move onto a pad on the ground. And you have a piston which slams down. So it will set back up, you can stand on this pad, and you have to tap either down on the D-pad or left on the D-pad. And you have to repeatedly keep tapping them to lower the path, essentially. But then you've got to move off it so the piston can come back down and then raise back up, and you've got to get back on it and then keep tapping. And I found for several attempts that just couldn't get in the rhythm. That it wasn't quite matching up with what I thought it was matching up with. It was hard to get into the rhythm of being able to pull this pad down. and I died a lot doing that. And I left it. I left it for a day. I went and played Death Stranding instead, finished that, and then went back to this. And I knew that that's where I was, so I'm just sat while the game is loading on my D-pad, tapping down, then tapping left, then tapping down, then tapping left. And it still took me a fair number of goes, maybe 5 or 6 attempts to be able to get past this puzzle. But I did. A frustrating moment. There's other elements where you might very easily be like, okay, I can see what I meant to do on this. And somebody like, what? Yeah. Why am I suddenly having to do this very strange thing that I've never had to encounter before? I've died, and I don't know why. I know why. I know how I died, but I don't know what I was meant to do before that happened. And it took me a little bit of time to figure that out. So it's not obtuse in the way that, say, like Still There was, with the way that you had to encounter those kind of puzzles. It's more obtuse in that it sort of just goes, there's a path that you have to follow. You just need to figure out how to get through this path and try various different things to do that. So yeah, it's a bit of an odd one. I want to sort of see it through because I want to know what the next progression of Robot is. I want to know kind of what they're trying to convey through this linear but very abstract sort of narrative they've got going on. And I want to see how those puzzles adapt to whatever the next form is that that I have to take. But I got the code through Evolve PR, so I kind of almost feel, as you didn't feel obligated to kind of push through earlier, I do sort of feel obligated to kind of push through as well, and try and see this through to the end. So I'll try, I'll keep plugging away at it, but I think it's definitely a game where I'll play a bit, and if I get frustrated, I'll just leave it for a while. And then go back to it maybe.
It sounds like 30% of the games I play.
Yeah.
It's like the way it looks and the way you were describing the puzzles. It reminds me of quite a few games I played on indie games that I've played on Xbox. I think Light On was the one I was thinking of, and you know what? Probably don't even search for this game, because when you search Light On Xbox, it'll probably come up with like Red Ring of Death or something. It's like just an awful name for a game, and it's impossible to search for. But I enjoyed my time with that. It's like to do with electricity and going through and stuff like that. So yeah, it's tough. It's like you want to enjoy these games, so you're doing something slightly different. A lot of it's like sometimes a dime a dozen, but it's like if they have that one, like unique factor, it's like you want to give them their dues, give credit, but sometimes it seems like feature creep. It's like you should have just honed in on mechanics.
And I think there was lots of clever things they could have kept doing when you were just inhabiting like the wire and moving through, and they didn't sort of realise that to maybe the full kind of potential. Or at least or possibly they did in an early version of the game and went, this is only an hour and a half long, and we want something that's more than this. We need to expand on this a little bit, and then cut back on that an original idea to then progress through various sort of stages to a slightly longer experience, perhaps.
Games don't have to be long, people. Say what you need to say and get the hell out, and I'll be very happy.
Yeah, and I feel like they could have done that. I feel like they could have said what they wanted to say in a 2-hour period by maintaining that first set of mechanics, by expanding on that, and just telling you through a slightly different medium than saying, oh look, this is I don't know what it is, but I get the feeling it's kind of like the human soul. Progressing through different stages, that sort of shit. that kind of isn't tacked on, but they've I think they thought this is a cool idea. You're a energy going through a wire. How do we expand on this? And everything has kind of come secondary to that.
Yeah.
Because it starts strong, and I was interested definitely, and kept going through. And again, I put Death Stranding down to play this. Spent a reasonable amount of time with it on Friday evening, and then got through to that one puzzle which just defeated me, and I got frustrated with, and went, I can see where the issues are with this. I'm happy to put this down, and I'm happy if I never actually come back to it. But again, as I said, I did feel a little bit obligated to jump back into it and progress through.
Yeah.
So, despite that, what's next? What's next for you, Ben?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Everything's broken, yeah.
Yeah. I've been kind of looking at the PlayStation sales. I've been looking at the Steam sales. Occasionally getting a few emails about sort of games on the wish list that are on sale and things. And I don't know. Really unsure what I want to play next. I'm kind of waiting for Doom, I think.
And I
don't think there's
lovely
anything
and existential of you.
I don't think there's anything I really want to get into before that comes out. I mean, there's not even any sort of smaller experiences that I'm kind of searching out. If I could have a smaller game like Florence on my phone or something like that, that would really, I could fit that in now. That's what I would want now, just to sit in between everything I played and then when Doom sort of comes out.
Yeah. What really messed up my plan was that Ori and the Blind Forest was meant to be out. It might have even been today. It was meant to be out this month. It might have been today, and then it got delayed. Like a week before Doom.
Yeah, it's still... Is it the end of February? Or is it beginning of March?
It's March. I think it's
it is March, isn't it? Yeah.
I think it's 11th of March. I think it was meant to be out like 11th of February.
Yeah, it was early February, definitely. And it would have sat very nicely now.
It would have sat perfectly. Because it's not even something that I think about. I'm really hyped for Doom. And it's like, Doom's going to be great. But, Ori's just going to be, standout, knockout, fantastic. It's like, I have no worries about that game. The worries I have about Doom is that it's going to be too goddamn long. But, Ori,
it will
I have no, it's like, this is going to be, the worst that game can be is excellent. So, it's like,
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's the game that I looked up about a week ago to see how much I could get PC Game Pass for.
Right.
Yeah, and you can get it for £1 at the moment. And I was thinking, right, okay, I'll get it. I can play a couple of things before this comes out, see what there is available, and that's kind of just put my purchasing off. It's £1. It's it's very, very kind of small chips to have a large library of games to be able to draw from.
It's massive. It's crazy.
But I still kind of hesitate to pull the trigger a little bit without knowing that Ori, which is the game that I want to play, and will be getting Game Pass for. There's things like Gears 5, which I'd like to try and stuff, but nothing is really pulling me in.
Catalogue at all?
Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, sorry, it's for Sorry,
it's the PC.
I have to remember it's the
version,
PC one. Yeah, that's fair. It's a lot smaller than the Xbox one. That's fair.
Yeah. So I mean, there's certain things on there that I would play absolutely if I had the service. As I say, Gears 5 is probably the top of that list to try out. Yeah. But I want to know that kind of the game
Ori's
that
gonna
I
be
am
great.
looking for. Yeah, that Ori is kind of
This-
there, and
if it's not a masterpiece, you know, so I have no doubt. And obviously, it's like, yeah, you know, you never know, but I'm sorry, but like, it's gonna be great.
yeah, something
There's
I'm
no
sure
way.
we'll
Yeah.
be talking about in the
It
not
would
until
be
March,
like
probably
if,
now.
if
but-
Ori's like a bad game, I think every journalist in the world would probably talking to Moon Studios and be like, what happened?
What the fuck?
Yeah, how did it turn out? Like,
yeah, I
crap
don't
now?
want to. I don't want to release my review yet. Let's talk about it first. Like,
Yeah.
give them the benefit of the doubt to reclaim that sort of space. But yeah, I agree. It's as I suppose a lot of expectation riding on that game, especially with it being kind of one of the only Xboxy kind of exclusives as well.
Yeah, really good
Coming out in the next while.
one. They've got stuff coming, but it's like nothing I'm interested in, to be honest. Nothing that's like
It's
a shoe in like Ori.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely the like blockbustery.
Yeah. It's like if it's not Gears or Fort,
Yeah.
it's not really
Yeah.
a shoe in, you know.
Yeah.
Or
And
is
that's
it?
fair. So I know we've touched on it earlier. You just asked me. We've asked you, Lucy. Aadil, do you think there's anything kind of from what we've discussed that you might be interested in playing sort of next? Is there anything you've thought of which might be kind of your next port of call?
I think I'll probably stick to the Switch and
Yeah.
some of the little backlog there. If I get the PC running, though, I actually might try Frostpunk, given
Yeah.
that I got it in Humble. And it might be the right thing for feeling like more gameplay, but also maybe having a multiple session game.
Yeah.
You know, I doubt I'll play for very long if I start it up, but it's the type of game, you know, it's Strat 4xe thing. You can just pause and walk away and come back.
I think it was
Yeah,
because the
absolutely, yeah.
achievements were like impossible. To that, I was like, listen. Oh, I started a game where you're escorting your little brother. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you what?
Where you're escorting your little brother.
Oh.
I started a game in that vein. It's not the right game. I started Life is Strange 2.
Oh. I was thinking, is it Brothers?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I'm
what I
sure
was
you
thinking.
played that.
Oh, Brothers, very good game. But
Is Life is Strange 2 out completely now?
yeah, it's on
Yeah.
Game
Right.
Pass.
Yep. Oh, it's in Game Pass. Oh, okay.
All the
Oh, if that's on PC
Game
Game Pass, then actually...
Don't think
That,
it
that
is.
might be enough.
Because I was
Of course
about
it
to
isn't.
say,
Fuck's sake.
don't you want to play Life is Strange 2? And I was like, I don't think, please.
Lame. I do have the
Lame. think
first
it
episode, I
was
think
free.
installed on the PlayStation. Because
Oh,
yes,
yeah?
it was. It came out for free.
The episodes are on Xbox, and it's like, I'm going to prioritize that over the other Little Brother game, the Rat game, because
Oh,
I
yeah,
own the Rat game.
Oh,
I don't own
yes.
any of the Life is Strange. So.
I mean, that could a Playtale instance could be a Life is Strange game. Just obviously very different tone.
Yeah, just like 600 years in the.
Yeah, I was just going to say. Tone, setting, theme.
I saw a lot of
Strangeness.
parallels. Like you've got an annoying little go on a road trip.
Not quite a choice-based system, but yeah, it could fit. They could definitely do a subsequent game in that style. Absolutely, yeah.
I only played like the first bit of the first episode. Those games are so good. Life is Strange.
Yeah.
Great game.
I hope. I know, Aadil, you and I, we talked about my sort of foray into the Walking Dead final season a little while ago, and I haven't gone back to it, knowing that I think third and fourth episode weren't received quite as well as the other ones, and that had come after the Telltale had closed down, and it was a different sort of team, or people from the same team, but maybe not the full team, and maybe not budgeted quite as much as the other episodes. But yeah, I haven't gone back to that. I don't want to sour kind of Life is Strange 2, but I did hear that maybe the later episodes don't quite have the same impact as the first couple, and that may be because people have played them when they have released. They played them in that episodic model, like, oh, the new episode is out, I will play that. Oh, okay, it doesn't quite have the same impact as the previous episodes, and you would kind of expect that, I would imagine, because you've had that impact already, so it's looking to do something differently than maybe as these games, experiencing these kind of episodic games as I definitely prefer to, which is in a continuous sitting, not one sitting, but a continuous kind of sitting, and moving between them, that you don't need that kind of impact quite as much through the episodes.
I've heard that people have come full circle on it. I've heard
Really?
that it's like, yes, doesn't have the emotional impact as such as the first season, because the first season was so revelatory. It's like, not much had been, other than like some of the Telltale games. Telltale really only had that hit in like 2012 with the first Walking Dead season.
First Walking Dead, yeah, absolutely.
And then I think Life is Strange wrapped up officially like 2016 or 2015 or something like that. But yeah, I've seen people come around on it where it's like, no, Life is Strange 2 is like really good. More people need to play this. So those games are all about like and it's just like so staggering how they create such a, even though the characters are like sometimes a bit stereotypical and stuff like that, and just how they build those worlds, it's like it's so believable, and so like yes, this is a lived in like house or setting or universe, even if like the voice acting and stuff doesn't quite reach that, you forgive it, and it's like you believe everything around it anyway. They're just putting all those small details. It's great.
And you even got that from Captain Spirit, the Something Adventures of Captain Spirit.
But I was like,
the kind of the precursor. Yeah.
So that was stopping me from playing Life is Strange. It's like, I want to play the prequel. Right. It's just like, no, just play the goddamn game.
Yeah. I don't think you need to have played it to then jump into Life is Strange, do you? You can just roll straight in through. It's just a nice little kind of bit of exposition to lead into the series.
I might download it on
into
PC.
The second season.
Since it's free everywhere.
I'm going to have a look for Life is Strange 2 now, see how much that's going to be.
Fair.
Because that seems like a good, reasonably sort of length game to play before Doom comes out.
Yeah, they're exactly the same. Ripping and tearing demons.
So, let's finish there. Life is Strange, ripping and tearing demons. We've all drank some beers, so we can all talk about which was our favourite this evening. I will start because I cracked open first, and I think for me it's quite an easy one in that I preferred the Boundary, the double IPA, which is called, before you say anything, Smell These. It was just an all-round, well-balanced beer, which did a lot. It was nice and juicy. It gave me those double IPA vibes, but it gave me a little bit extra as well. It had a long tail to it. It was a nice, juicy, fruity beer, which lasted and lasted and lasted. The Wild Horse 872 IPA was nice, but it was a little samey, let's say. So yes, I did get a little bit of that grapefruit. I got a lot of citrus, a little bit of that sort of those grassy notes kind of towards the end of it. But it didn't evolve much kind of from that, and it was consistent. It's well made and it's consistent all the way through. That I'm still getting that flow from the beer, but it just wasn't quite the big hit that Boundary was. And I think I think every time I've had a Boundary beer, I picked it as the kind of the beer of the week.
Right.
And they're kind of Boundary seem to be getting to that level with me that kind of like Whiplash or Dea or Left Handed Giant are, where they put out a beer and it is good.
Yeah.
It's not just all right and consistent through. It is good. It is a good beer. It's solid and it knows exactly what it wants to do as well.
I need to pick up more of their beers because I remember having them like real early when they were still bottling.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I've had any of their cans. So.
They must have been canning for a little while, maybe a year, 18 months or something like that. I don't know. I think the first Boundary beer I had on the podcast was canned, so we'd have to go back and see when that was exactly. But yeah, so it's quite an easy one for me this week. Lucy, we'll come to you. A Brew York and a Yonder.
Yeah, even though the Brew York Salamander like grew on me over time, that bitterness and that dryness at the start, we didn't get off on the right foot, but it grew on me. It became more palatable as it either as I became used to it or the temperature went up. So still a nice beer. It's like I recommend anything from Brew York.
Yeah.
99% of the time, because they do some of like the best stouts that I've ever had. Their Tonkoko stout and their milk stout version of that are just some of my favourite stouts out there. But yeah, it would have taken a lot, to be fair, to beat the Yonder Golden Casket this week. It's great. It's like, we drink so much on this podcast every week. And, I want something to do something different, and it's like a sour mixed with it has the best qualities of a sour and best qualities of a triple. And it's like if you crack this open, just gave it to me, and you said, "Oh, this is from Cantillon," I'd probably believe you. They are like one of my favourite. It's like, just bring more stuff to the Midlands. Just give me a crate. They're so good. They're so experimental. It's like, sumac. How many beers have we had with sumac in it?
Yeah.
Those flavours that Aadil, you listed off. It's like every one of them hits. You could taste every single one of them, and it works. Works perfectly. So
nice.
Yeah. Brew Yonder.
Good.
This week.
Aadil.
Yep. I think it's the Hazy Sister. I really liked the Ninkasi Noir Porter. It's, as a porter, it just is portering as portering does. It was light, which is, for me, a shot against it, but, it's a nice, to be honest, if I wanted a lighter 5% porter, I would reach for this. But, yes, they both were kind of doing their thing the standard way, but I felt like the Hazy Sister just was doing something slightly different than just being a NEPA. And this porter was like, what if I was a quintessential light porter? Light in the sense of low ABV, but also leaning into the malt so much, not going into roasted, just being like a slightly sweet, malty but inoffensive, good example of a porter. Like, this would be what I reached for when someone's like, "Oh, what's a porter?" That's a porter. But I'm not. I know what a porter is, and I am less likely to go grab this one again.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair. And the first one was by Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah. I assume they'll be awfully copyrighted as soon as someone actually realises what they're called.
Yeah, focusing.
Mr. Pink's gonna get on the case.
Right? Yeah.
Good. So, if any of you, dear listener, want to talk to us,
Steve Buscemi or is he Quentin Tarantino?
Yeah, it's
no, it's Steve Buscemi. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. Pink was.
It's like, why do I have to be with?
Yeah, that's right. and then it goes on about, the fuck would I tip? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. If any of you,
Show me. Sorry.
it's all right. We'll just talk about.
Steve
We'll
Buscemi.
extend the
I'll
episode
put it
just to talk about Steve Buscemi.
I'm fine with
That's
that.
fine.
Yeah.
Ridiculous character actor.
Yeah.
Absolutely
I'll
absurd.
make
He's
that
very,
one.
very good in Boardwalk Empire.
I haven't seen it.
Oh,
I've
it's
not
good.
seen that
It's
either.
good. It's not
It's not on
kind
here.
of groundbreaking TV, but it's good. It's a good watch.
Michael Bay. He knows how to fly up an American flag.
That is
Anyway.
true.
Continue, Ben. I'm juicy this night everywhere.
Yes, Aadil is at the Omniarch. I am at Nova_47. If you want to talk to all of us, we are at TankedUpCast on Twitter, on Instagram, tankedupcast@gmail.com. If you want to send us some kind of email, you can go to outoflives.net to look at other stuff, read Kyle's articles, listen to this podcast, listen to This Next Act as well, the comedy podcast that Aadil produces. Is there anything else we need to say?
Best
Nah,
movie,
that's
give
basically
him some love.
Sorry?
Glorious movie.
That's
Podcast.
no longer part of the network.
No.
Listen to the archive. I
You
just
could
wanted to
listen
give
to the
Mr.
archive.
Moody some love.
Yeah, you could listen
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
archive.
Um,
As a man working hard in the gym.
yeah, but also, I mean, we're definitely still friends with Moody. I mean, check out his
Oh,
podcast
absolutely.
if you like movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw him on Fix a
Also,
Stream
when's the
today.
next episode of Outer
Moody's
Rupees
good,
coming out? When was the last
There's no-
episode?
It wasn't that long ago.
January, yeah, it was last
Yeah, it
month.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's say September. No, I'd say maybe May.
The next
Or
time there's
June.
anything other than
When's
a
E3?
Pokemon Nintendo
Yeah.
Direct.
Right.
I'd say June.
Yeah.
I do very much enjoy talking to Franz about it.
Mm.
He's a knowledgeable guy, so wish we could do it more often. And it's nice just talking about one system, you know?
Yeah.
Mm,
I completely
I mean,
agree.
now that all three of us will have PCs, we're just become a PC cast. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. I'll talk about those 2080 graphics cards.
All
I
the
know nothing about
flops
PC.
and the
I'm a
bits and
fraud.
the
Gigaflops.
things.
This one has more
Yeah.
gigaflops.
I'm
All
a
of
fraud.
them.
I'll just say NVIDIA,
Yeah.
GeoForce, RTX. I'll just drop in random
Yeah.
words that I have
Just shout,
no
yeah, just
context
shout
for.
all of the acronyms, all of the
Yeah.
names. You'll be
AMD,
fine.
Floppy disk.
Intel. Yeah.
Ah. So
I
that's for
wanted
good
the-
play.
I was going to say I wanted the PC version of the Doom Collector's Edition, and then I
Right.
saw that it came for disc, and I was like, "What year is this?"
Yeah.
I'll just stick with the Xbox One.
Yeah.
Buy it on PC later. Cheers.
Yeah.
Send it to me on 8 discs.
I mean,
instead.
that's the idea of a collector's edition,
The
isn't it? I
post.
suppose something
Yeah,
to
you-
just put on the shelf
But
and never look at again.
But you want your collector's edition to have like a code.
But I
for
actually want to
store.
play it. Yeah, I want a digital code as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should play the game.
They should.
Yeah.
It should
Not
be like a-
shareware anymore.
It should be a fake disc that just has the code printed on the label.
Yeah, they should
Yes.
send me like 9
Yeah.
floppy discs and say,
Nine floppy disks.
yeah,
You know how small that is?
like,
That's like
20
under 3
megabytes.
It,
They're
it would
1.44 megs each.
it would be a box about
Yeah.
this wide by about this deep with about 150 floppy disks in, even more.
It'd be a landfill.
Yeah.
Lots of floppy disks. Full of doom.
Not even the soundtrack could fit on that. The guitar
Yeah, I
is
think you're
at
correct.
least
For sure.
50 gigs.
Absolutely. Oh, that's a good place for us to finish this week. If, dear listener, you happen to be out in Bristol on Saturday, which will be the 15th of February, Lucy, Aadil and I are I don't know what we're doing. We're pottering around. We're having some beers. We're going to different
We're going to
places.
that
We're doing some
brew
stuff.
pub.
We're going to go
Left-handed
to Left-Handed
Giant.
Giant. Yeah, absolutely.
I've already picked the pizza that I want, so that's where we're going.
I mean, you may be listening to this on Saturday because we're only going to release it on Friday, so we're going out the day after. But if you're in Bristol, come and find us and say hey.
Message us on Instagram or Twitter being like, where's that crawl at, yo?
Yeah, you could do that. You could absolutely do that. And then you could always be part of episode 200, which we're at some point recording during that day.
I didn't even
It'll
think of
happen.
that. Yeah.
No, did I? I just thought about the pizza.
Yeah,
Well, there will be pizza.
That's where my priorities lie.
Episode 200 will be, hey, we're at this place. What did you think of this beer? Yeah, it was good, thanks. What's
I've had
that
a lot of
pizza
beers.
over there?
Well, episode
Good.
200 is when we shift to become a pizza and video game
cast.
podcast.
I'm
I should have
down
said
for
pizza
that.
board game.
Yeah.
Pizza tabletop game. That's where the joke is. Pizzas are on tabletops. I got there. Look, don't judge me. Just
Pizza
don't-
peel.
Yeah.
It's alright. We're at the end of the night. It's fine. For another week, we've been
I don't want a
tapped.
pizza.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, got in there before.
Ow.
Bye.
Chow down.
Yeah.
www.outoflives.net